Oh.
Hello? What'd you forget?
I forgot to do the BroadwayWorld share Facebook.
Oh,
no, just forget it. It's already like 10:48. I'm just like,
you can do it now. We don't have any viewers yet.
Oh, that's a good point. Well, talk amongst yourselves. Why don't you roll the clip?
I'm just gonna put myself on full screen for a bit.
Yeah, do it.
Tuesday, Thursday, April, August.
Time heals everything. It's a song. Time heals everything.
I have to say, I don't remember exactly what it was, but I do remember 2 nights ago having a dream involving Patricia Lupone. I just remember she and I got real chummy on, it was either like a set, like a hotel set, or we were actually at a hotel. I can't remember if we were like filming something or if we were just both on vacation. And Patty and I got real chummy in like the little cocktail lounge of whatever hotel this was.
That stands to reason.
Yeah. Anyway, how are you? How are you?
I'm awful blunged.
Can we talk? Have you watched that new documentary on Netflix, Disclosure?
Yes.
So fabulous.
What?
Disclosure? Oh, which one had you watched?
No, I was just making a joke because there are so many new documentaries on Netflix.
It's about
one of my little jokes.
I just love your little jokes. It's about the trans representation in Hollywood, TV and film. And there's a really fabulous clip of Joan Rivers talking with transgender people on her show back in the day. And it just really reminds you just how progressive she was and how, these issues that people like Jerry Springer or others would treat as like comedy, she really treated with respect and actually gave it the conversation it deserved.
That's good to hear because I've been leaning in hard on the data lounge these days. I'm obsessed with this one poster named Oracle, who I'm literally obsessed with.
Wow.
But anyway, but there's been a lot of threads about.
Hello, Kenneth.
There've been a lot of threads about Joan that are not very flattering, and so I'm happy to hear a little bit of good Joan juju.
I mean, Joan definitely wasn't perfect. I mean. Friend of the stream, Drew Droege, has told us stories about working with her and how she was so funny and, charismatic, but she was also really, really made people work hard for no money.
Yeah, and I think well, whatever. I mean, nobody's perfect. Judy Kuhn's not perfect, but I think Joan Rivers was like a Trumper.
I think Joan was a Republican. However, I don't think she would have, at this point,
That's one of the big debates going on Data Lounge, because apparently Melissa Rivers made a big thing about how Joan would have not supported Trump as president.
Yeah.
But people are they got the receipts, I
mean, she was famously a Republican, although she loved the gays.
I mean, Republican and Trumper are two different things. I'm not thrilled if anyone's a Republican at all, especially if they like gays in the modern era. It's one thing to be a Republican, I don't know, in the 60s or the 40s, but during the Civil War. But there's a difference. You could support Mitt Romney and I might not like it, but it's different than supporting. Let's not even talk about it. It's too
Let's not talk about it. Well, I feel like with this energy, we should go into all beef patty, but let's cleanse the timeline first and let me do Who Do You Think You Are, which is on someone who is the opposite of a Trumper.
Yes.
Well, let me play the clip and then we'll do it.
Who do you think you are?
So this person who we were talking about today is the opposite of a Trumper. She is a progressive warrior. She calls herself Lady Bernie. One of my idols. I always say Bunny is my Beyonce because she's my superstar. She's my queen. So I found this clip, as you guys know, as you guys being you, Ben. There's this
nobody watching.
There's this wonderful YouTube channel. I think it's called 5 9th Avenue or something 9th Avenue, but it's all these videos that Nelson Sullivan recorded back in the 80s and 90s of all the club kids in the downtown New York scene back in the day. And there's just thousands of hours of footage of kids at the Pyramid Club. RuPaul is in a lot of them. Lee Bowery, Michael Musto. I mean, all those kids who ran around together. And Bunny is in so many of them. And there's this clip that I've been watching for years of her performing at the Pyramid Club. And I don't know how old she is. She has to be very young, maybe when she first got to New York. But here, we'll play it and then we'll talk. I mean, the last half of it is so hard to hear because everyone's just like going crazy and screaming. But
Patti
LaBelle, Lady Bunny singing, lip syncing Patti LaBelle, and she's wearing some sort of like Christmas dress or something.
Like Christmas tree, some little shake and go wig. This was before her iconic blonde beehive hairdo. So anyway, I just love it, and there's so many more. I had a lot of trouble picking this one because there's another one called Lady Bunny's Cluck Cluck Dance, and it's like just her basically singing to a song, but all she sings is and she doesn't actually sing lyrics. So it's a treasure trove. Nelson Sullivan's videos, many of them starring Lady Bunny and Rupaul. One of them, Bunny's just running around an apartment asking people for Coke money. So good. Hello, Tanya. Tell our viewers your some of your favorite Bunnyisms.
Oh my God. Well, some of them I feel like aren't quite appropriate to say.
They're appropriate for what? No, they're appropriate. Share it all. Cocksucker. Come on.
One of my, well, of course, the one she said in her last show was, we've become so politically correct, they made Dick Van Dyke change his name to Penis Von Lesbian.
Classic Bunny. By the way, we should give a plug that Bunny has a special available on WoW Presents, right?
Yeah.
And what's the special called?
I think it's Lady Bunny is Contagious.
Yes. And you know, it's. I mean, actually,
a COVID twist.
It's the old. I can say this now with a little bit of backup,
okay.
Because we watched the Bunny thing a few weeks ago just because any Bunny thing is immediately a must-watch. Drop what you're doing, and it did not disappoint. But I realized last night, because I was really in the mood to watch a stand-up special about right now, and they pretty much don't exist. And by the way,
really getting rooms to film them.
Yeah, but you know what? First of all, they need to be coming up with technology. I have got a lot of ideas about that, of how you could do that. But regardless, why isn't there some comedian sitting in their living room talking into their ring light, doing their material, and maybe some of it doesn't land? You know, I mean, I can think of 12 reasons why there isn't, but I'm shocked that there isn't somebody. Like, I mean, and all there are like, you know, benefit telethons of like 17 different comedians or whatever, you know. And I have a mini All Beef Patty because I posted on Twitter, they're really, you know, I'm really in the mood to watch a thing. And people were responding just like, what the fuck are people thinking? You know, they're like, well, we've been watching Bet at the Baths, or like, you know, no offense if that person's here, you know, or like, this is my favorite comedy special from 2019. You know, or, you know, somebody's like, you should watch this. And it's like, you know, this comedian like doing like lip syncs to Donald Trump. which, by the way, if you're going to, trigger warning, if you're going to give somebody a thing that has Donald Trump's voice, you should identify that. I don't want to be clicking on links and have Donald Trump.
Yeah, I don't want to see that.
I don't want to see that. Anyway, but so the point, what I realized though was that, wow, like actually the bunny thing is more unique than I realized. I mean, so people really should watch it because it's so hilarious. But give us a couple of the other ones. Don't hold back.
Also, where she filmed that, like, did she? I mean, surely they filmed it in some studio because it's really good quality. And I know a lot of it they just filmed around the city. But yeah, I mean, that's really a missed opportunity for some people. Okay,
it's not a missed opportunity because we're in this fucking quarantine for another 3 months, 9 months, 18 months. Figure it out. You know, I mean, now, okay, I'll say this because I've had some ideas. You know, I went to my friend Richard J. Alexander, friend of the pod, legend. Yes. He was having I think he's having them again, these like weekly like cocktail Zooms for like, I don't know, 40 people. And like you'd go on, it was like so stressful because it's like all these like famous people and like, yeah, I can't handle it. But it's cool to go, right? Once. I mean, a lot of people love it. Richard's fabulous, but it was too stressful for me. I need therapy. But anyway, but the one time I went, one of the times I went on, it happened to have been like the week after my birthday. Or the week of my birth, you know, a few days after my birthday. Richard does this thing where he calls people out. You know, oh, well, Daniel has got a new website up. Daniel, tell everybody about your website. And you're like, blah, 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 blah. So he goes, well, Ben had a birthday this week. You know, I'm like, thank you. I did celebrate the anniversary of my birth. But I'm looking at the gallery view and I see, you know, I don't know, 30 people, whatever it is that fits on your screen. And so you can see when somebody says on a Zoom, oh, it's Joe Schmo that you've never heard of's birthday. What do everybody do? Some people go, you know, whatever they fucking, some people do the little hand clapping emoji or whatever at the side of their window. You know, everybody does something, but so you're looking at the gallery view and you see all that. And I was like, oh, I feel like Patti LuPone, age 4, tap dancing downstage left. You know, I was like, downstage right, sorry. Ooh. It's because if it's Patti, I'm in the audience. Anyway, I was like, this is a little bit like an audience, you know? And I was Googling this last night, actually. I was binging it, that they're developing stuff. Like there's now like a virtual comedy club where they're editing in, everybody hears like some muted version of people in the audience's microphones to hear people laughing and clapping. There's all these bugs. Everybody's complaining about it. By the way, the comedians that do it, you never heard of. I'm not saying that we're like at the top of the mountain, but people are climbing it. And considering how much money is made by big corporations every year for stand-up comedy, I'm quite confident that by the time there's a cure for COVID, there will have also been developed more satisfying virtual comedy. You know, if you read about it, there's a lot of fucking comedians being like, well, it'll never be the same thing as the live. Nobody's looking for it to be the same. Not the same, as Barbra Streisand would say.
Certainly not the same.
Thank you. Anyway, please share some of the more favorite bunnyisms. The dirty ones, come on. Homeless dick, let's go.
So, oh yeah, Bunny always says, there's a lot of good homeless dick in New York that goes overlooked by many. And then another one is...
the dog.
Oh, that's too long. But another one is, my favorite Bunny joke is...
It's not too long. It's not too long.
I told Rupaul to act her age and she died.
Do the dog. Do the dog.
Well, I was going to tell another long story that's even better. So I think Bunny was on Margaret Cho's podcast at one point in the last several years. And they were talking, and Margaret was saying how Bunny has this real 60s look. And she's like, it's almost like a Sharon Tate-ish kind of vibe. And then Margaret said, you know, I'm friends with Patty Duke, who's a fabulous person. And she was telling me this story about Sharon Tate the other day.
Isn't Patty Duke dead?
Well, maybe she was
a couple of years ago, right? Well, she wasn't dead at the time.
You see how it works. So Margaret was like talking about Patty Duke, and she was saying how Patty was telling her this story about she was supposed to hang out with Sharon the night she was murdered by the Manson family. Like she was supposed to go over to her house, but they had had a fight previously in that day. And so Patty ended up not hanging out with Sharon, which, as it turned out, was sad because Sharon was killed that night, but also like Patty would have been killed too. So anyway, Patty told Margaret this story, and Bunny just said, well, the silver lining is at least Patty and Sharon aren't fighting anymore.
Not as funny as the dog story.
Not as funny as the dog, but basically,
I run out of time because you didn't want to tell the dog story on the air. Because
all I will say is that it involved a jar of peanut butter and a joke of the dog.
Not what you think. It's not what you think.
Not what you think.
All right, let's move on to my I'll be Patty because I'm just full of piss and vinegar.
Yes, you are.
I hardly know the woman.
Well, my I'll be Patty today is the 1998 Tony nominations for Best Supporting Actress in a Play.
Ooh, in a play, right?
Yes, honey, in a play. And what they were, oh, well, now I fucking lost everything. The winning nominee was Anna Manahan for The Beauty Queen of Leenane, which was a really hilarious Irish play on Broadway in the late 90s. And at least in my awareness, this may not have been true of the general Broadway audiences, but it was the first time in my awareness that I was like, oh, like there is like a thriving Irish theater that gives us like extremely smart, interesting, dramatic, hilarious, like commercially viable, like original works that like belong on, like, you know, anyway. I'm sure that's like, you know, people have known that since Rosie O'Grady, you know, but it was
Rosie O'Grady.
Oh my God, Jennifer Samard, I love you so much. Also nominated Enid Graham for this play called Honor, Linda Lavin for The Diary of Anne Frank, and Juliana Solisio for Golden Child. Now, do you know who was left out of those nominees?
Patty
LuPone for her role in David Mamet's The Old Neighborhood.
David Mamet.
Which, don't get it twisted, younger generation. You're like, oh, was it another flop like The Anarchist? No. The Old Neighborhood was extremely well received and well regarded. Rave review in the New York Times, and especially rave reviews for Patty across the board. She was nominated for, you know, all the other awards that season.
Yes.
Now, obviously, the woman that won, Anna Manahan, was the winner. So she was the best, or she was the best in the eyes of the powers that be. And obviously Linda Lavin needed to be nominated for that award. And I don't know much about Honor or Golden Child, but I appreciate them giving diversity and nominating Juliana. So then it comes down to two possibilities for the final slot. Enid Graham in Honor or Patty LuPone in The Old Neighborhood. Now I saw Patty in The Old Neighborhood and she was, I did not see Honor. So I looked it up. I was reading about it. Sure enough, Enid got great reviews, although they also, in the Times, Ben Brantley, in his great review, which was especially a great review for Enid, specifically said that it wasn't as good as The Old Neighborhood. Regardless, what do reviews mean? That's not who's doing the nominees. It's subjective, blah, blah, blah. It's just an award. However, I think we all can say quite clearly and confidently at this point in the history of the world that awards are political. Right?
Totally.
Awards are political. Bernadette should have won for Sunday in the Park with George, but the racist asshole owed Chita Rivera a Tony Award for 40 years on the Broadway stage, 30 years on the Broadway stage without any trophies. So Bernadette got the axe. Then they owed Bernadette that Tony. They had to give her the Tony for Song and Dance because she earned it. So they couldn't give her the freebie Tony because Song and Dance was a real Tony, right? Yes. Then there was a backroom deal to not nominate Bernadette for Into the Woods because they had to get her to do a short contract, et cetera, et cetera. So Bernadette was owed a Tony, and then they stole Carol Lee's Tony for Parade and gave it to Bernadette for Annie Get Your Gun.
Yeah.
Right? And then anybody that was like, should we give it to her for Gypsy? I mean, I didn't love it, but some people loved it, or I loved it, but I know some people hated it, but they were like, she just got a Tony she didn't deserve. She's got extra. It's fine, right?
See what you did.
So that's how, God bless Marissa Jarrett Winokur. So we all know the Tonys are political. It's tale as old as time, right? They gave Tanya Pinkins the Tony for Jelly's Last Jam in advance because they knew they were going to fuck her over to give Idina Menzel the Tony for Wicked. They didn't even know they knew that, but they knew that. Do you know what I'm saying? It's all political. So politically, now if it were not political, if they just didn't happen to choose Patty for a nomination for The Old Neighborhood, that would be fine. It's just people's opinions. You can't win them all. right? But no, it was political, and they decided that they weren't going to put their money on that horse. You know what? Patti LuPone, it's a straight play. It's not really her thing. I didn't really like it that much. David Mamet says fuck too much. I don't want to encourage that trend, you know? And they were like, yeah, Patti LuPone, she didn't play nicely with Arthur Lawrence. She's kind of has a reputation for being a bitch. You know, whatever they were thinking, they didn't, you know, and it was just cruel and unusual.
Yeah.
And the only thing I realized in my just racking myself over this week is that maybe if they had given her the nomination, no, you know what? It's a false realization. I was going to say then she couldn't have said for 30 years, you know, when she won the Tony for Gypsy, but that's not true. I'm not saying she should have won for The Old Neighborhood. I mean, I do say that. I literally say that, but I don't really think she should have won for The Old Neighborhood.
Nominated for sure.
Should have been nominated. And so it would not have taken away. By the way, I also realized, you know, people give her grief a little bit about that Gypsy Tony speech, how she was like, and every 30 years or so, pick up one of these. And she's like, you know, the last time I stood up here 28 years ago, it's been 29 years, you know, all that stuff, right? And she says 3 different year counts in the same, yes, very Joan Crawford. Patti is very Joan Crawford. Thank you for noticing. So the 3 different things, that's not inaccuracy, okay? She says every 30 years or so because it's been 30 years since the 1980 Tonys it's 30 years or so is a good round number or so for how long it's been since she won a Tony. And it was 29 years since she studied with David Vosberg in previews for Evita until she won the Tony for Gypsy. But it was 28 years since she won the Tony for Evita to winning the Tony in 2008 for Gypsy.
I feel like I'm that meme right now where it's like that lady like staring contemplatively into space and like all those like numbers and graphs are like swirling around. I'm just like, carry the 2, add the 9. Okay, got it. Okay.
If you really loved me, you would take that clip from this episode and edit it with that.
Totally. Okay. Final segment going in right now. All right. As y'all know, most of y'all who are listening, I'm sure have played before. Give us 3 performers and we will categorize them. 1 to see as Dolly Levi, 1 to see in concert, 1 to kill. Why are you shaking your head?
I'm just fucking exhausted.
And it's early. It's still early. Oh, do you want to, while we're waiting for them to roll in, do you want to see my new sunglasses?
Yes. Oh my God, I love them.
They're a little like Kurt Cobain meets Willy Wonka.
I love them. Meets Audrey Hepburn. Let me see them on top of your head. Yes, that's where they belong. Gorgeous. A little lower. Oh, here we go. Thank you, Kenneth. We can always count on you.
Oh, this is a good one.
All right, which one do you want to do?
You do this one.
Okay, Linda Ronstadt, Pat Benatar, Deborah Harry. Okay. Who of those people would be the funniest Dolly? I have to say Deborah Harry. And I have seen Linda Ronstadt in concert. I prefer her on disc. I've never seen Pat Benatar in concert. I think she's thrilling on disc, and I would love to see her live. That's easy. Thank you for the assignment.
I like when you say on disc. I think you should say that more often.
I think you should say that.
Okay. Rupaul, Valentina, and Jinkx Monsoon. Ooh, this is a good one. Well, I'd have to kill Valentina. This is so hard. I mean, Jinkx is like a comedic genius and so funny on stage, but like I really need RuPaul to walk down the staircase and get all the applause. So I'd have to say RuPaul as Dolly, Jinkx in concert, or in like another First Wives Club parody, because that was amazing.
I will say though, I was literally thinking this week, I had my some playlist on shuffle, and one of RuPaul's tracks came on. I can't remember which one it was, but it's one where there's some like a little bit of spoken word, like all RuPaul's recordings are spoken word. No, but it's like actual talking, you know. And,
Geronimo?
Maybe. But it was very like one woman show. Like I was like, I need like RuPaul's like full, like I desperately need like RuPaul at Liberty. Like, or whatever that is for RuPaul.
Okay, here's your next one.
I get it. They were like all on the old Batman, right? I mean, I know who Eartha Kitt is, obviously. Lee Meriwether, I vaguely remember from Batman. I think she was the other Catwoman besides Eartha Kitt. And I know Julie Newmar like is some like big busty blonde, I think, right? And don't they talk about her like in, isn't that the name, Tu Wong Fu?
Yeah, Tu Wong Fu, thanks for everything, Julie Newmar. Yeah, she was the original one.
Eartha as Dolly and kill myself.
I want to see Eartha as Dolly, and then I want Julie Newmar in like a one-woman show about her life, like very at Liberty. And then Lee Meriwether, I don't know who that is.
I think she was the other Catwoman besides Eartha Kitt. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure why they had two, but that was common in television programs of the time.
Okay, keep coming in. Okay, here we go. Okay, a little ingenue. Although I guess some of these
mean girls.
I mean, I want Rachel as Dolly as Regina, but I want her as Regina George as Dolly. Amanda in concert, I guess. And then Lacey, I don't know much about her, so.
Lacey sings too, by the way.
Does she?
If you hate Amanda so much.
Send her to that toaster strudel in the sky.
Can we talk about toaster strudels?
I love toaster strudels. I haven't had them in so long.
Really?
Do you not like them?
I don't not like them, but it's like they're like the deep dish pizza to like Pop-Tarts New York style.
But they're way better than Pop-Tarts. Remember the commercial?
No, but I'm saying like they're like deep dish pizza and New York pizza, both of which I love. I mean, when they're the good one, like they're things that are often like pitted against each other when like they really are like two different foods.
Yeah.
Like you might love or hate Pop-Tarts, but it has nothing to do with toaster strudel, which is like a flaky, soft, like it's like, you know.
Apples and oranges. Okay, here you go. Right in your wheelhouse.
Peggy Lee, Judy. No, but like I literally have no idea who Jane Powell is. I know she was like in Seven Brides for Seven Brothers.
Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, opposite Marilyn. Like,
oh, she's the other. I thought that was Jane Russell. You're wrong. That's Jane Russell.
I said Jane Russell.
No, but Jane Powell is who has been submitted.
I'm just kidding. You're totally right.
Well,
yeah.
Jane Powell. Give me Judy as Dolly and Peggy and yes, that's the answer.
Okay, now we're cooking with gas. I want Rue McClanahan, the house down, as Dolly, but I want her very Blanche. And then I want, I guess Betty in concert and kill Estelle.
Okay. Mama, I'm coming home. I want, and this is not going to be very popular. It's not going to be popular. How do you like my mix? I obviously want to see Liza as Dolly. And I want to see Edie Gourmet in concert. Ooh. And I don't even feel bad about it because Carol Burnett came for Family Guy that one time. So
cool. Okay. Well, we have.
I'm still not convinced she and Julie Andrews weren't lesbian lovers, but I'd like them to come out of the closet.
Someone was tweeting about that recently because
I want to out all the dead closet queens. Hal Prince, everybody.
Oh, who came out recently as a man? Like, what man came out?
A man?
Not as a man. What man came out recently as gay? Because
I don't care about recent people. I just want to do it with malintent to legends.
Gotcha. All right. Well, let's sign off early because
no,
we have like 20 seconds.
No, we started late. We have to go late.
No, I have to get ready. I'm coming over to your house soon, and I'm like going to be late as it is.
I didn't know you were coming over.
Well, not coming in, but you know. Okay, so any final words?
Are you mad at me?
Tuesday, Thursday, April, August.
Time heals everything. It's a song. And time heals everything.